Now we're going to talk about managing classes with JavaScript. And the reason that we need to do this is because we want to add an add to cart button. But as you know from dealing with websites yourself, you don't always want to see add to cart unless there's something that you could add to the cart. There's certain situations when you don't want the button to show up too soon, and you definitely don't want the button to show up if they haven't selected anything. So prerequisites for this video, the student should be familiar with DOM manipulation basics, and you should understand the basics of CSS. But you don't really have to know that much about either of these two things on a deep level, because you'll see how it works here, and it should be pretty self-explanatory. So the learning objectives for this video, you'll learn how to add and remove classes with JavaScript. And what we want you to do is we want to make the add to cart button appear or disappear depending on the context of the user choice. So let's get started. All right, so what we have here is that when you select a dish, it says Changu fish, whatever, you see the price. But we want add to cart added. So when you first refresh the page, you should not see add to cart. But when you do this, you should see add to cart. So what we'll do is we'll add an add to cart button, and we'll just have it in the DOM because we know we'll always need it, and we'll always need it right in the same place, right about here. ID equals add to cart. And we'll just put add to cart here. That button should always be in the same place, but it doesn't always need to be right here. So how do we change that? There's lots of ways that we can change it. It needs to be here, but when we select a dish again, we don't need this to show up at all, and we don't need add to cart to show up at all. So we need a conditional statement here to make add to cart kind of appear in a way that is smart. And we can do that with conditional classes in JavaScript. So in our style.css, we added a method here called hidden, .hidden. It's a class. And this class, we basically do a display none. All right, and I also added a class here for a checkout box, which we'll add here in a minute. So the button here with an ID of add to cart is there, and then we also need a div here, which is called checkout. We'll do checkout later. But what we really want to do here is add to cart, and then there's a hidden button there. So how do we deal with this? The first thing that we want to do is we can grab the add to cart button. So var add to cart equals document dot query selector add to cart. It is an ID, and I think that's the proper ID for it. Yep. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say add to cart dot class list dot add hidden. So basically, this adds the hidden class to the add to cart button as soon as we load the page. So it's now been added. It's part of the HTML page, but you don't see it. No matter what you do, you don't see it. But now we want to see it when we select something. So how do we do that? Well, that's very easy. Inside our event listener for foods, after we do all of this, we really could say we want to show it if our value, see if the value here is 0 if we have select a dish selected. So we could say on there, if user selection dot value is greater than 0, and remember we need the number here. Then we do this stuff. And we could say, well, let's do that first. Else, all of this stuff is not seen. take away this, take away this, take away this. So if the user, when they make a change, if the user selection value is greater than 0, give them all of this stuff. Say you selected Egusi, it's this much money, and so on. But otherwise, change all of those back to nothing, right? So first we'll do select a dish, Changu fish, $5. If we do select a dish, it's back to nothing. So this works, and then so we can just add the add to cart button when we show stuff, which is right up here. So we would say our add to cart dot class list dot add, it's the same command, but we just do dot class list dot remove. So we remove the hidden off of the add to cart button if you're showing stuff, but otherwise you need to hide it again. So do class list dot add again. Do you see what's going on here? If we have something that's more than 0, we show them everything. Add to cart, here's how much it costs, here's the food that you want. But otherwise, we take everything away, set everything to either empty string or null, and then we make the button hidden again. So let's see if this works. Changu fish, $5, add to cart is there. To select a dish again, everything removes. Okay, so that's working on that level. So you've seen here how we can add classes. So you remember that classes are, the dot, use a dot to designate a class. And the magical command here is classlist.add. So you have a DOM element, .classlist.add. You can add any type of class that you want to it. And you can do more than just hidden. Like if we have a green class here, right? And we have background color, green. Then we can add to cart that class where we can remove the hidden one, and then we can add green. So we selected this here, Changu fish, and then added that. So the class was added dynamically there. So this is how you can add classes using JavaScript. We'll see you in the next video. Make sure that you do this on your own, or if it's something you already if it's something that you already know how to do, that you can go ahead and skip to the next video. But we'll see you shortly.